Good morning and welcome to another episode of Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get-Go Cafe and Market right down the street here from the Lemieux Sports Complex. I am joined for the first time by Dave Molinari, and we are going to talk about development camp, which is going on here behind us. Specifically, we were out in Vancouver covering the whole draft, but the headlines are obviously going to be related to the top pick, or in this case, the top picks. Two French-Canadian power forwards. I don't know how many of us had, that's what they're going to take.
No, it's safe to say that wasn't necessarily on top of the list of what we thought was coming here, but at this point, at this very early stage, it's kind of tough to argue with it. It seems like they might have gotten a couple of pretty good prospects.
Yeah, they certainly seem excited about it. They had high expectations for Samuel Poulin, probably going into the draft, and then Nathan Legare just hangs around, and then they just move up to get him pretty aggressively. I mean, you don't see very often giving up 3 picks to move up to get 1 in the third round.
No, but I don't think they paid an unreasonably high price to get him, and based on how he seems to have been regarded inside the organization, I think they have to be viewing this as a pretty sound investment. They really seem to think that the kid has a lot of potential.
The part, I guess, that maybe has me a little bit curious is that they're clearly, we've seen them and spoken with them both, I don't want to say fully developed physically, but they're way more developed than most 18-year-olds. Why is there a 2-3 year? Samuel Poulin told you that flat out in Vancouver. He just goes, no, 2 years or more. Why is there such a long track with these kids?
Well, I think they need time to develop their overall games. A lot of kids who have a pretty nicely developed offensive game when they're 18 or 19 might have some defensive shortcomings. Right. There's just a lot to learn when you're that age. I mean, you do have to consider that they're 3 or 4 years younger than guys who, for example, are going into the NFL. They still have a lot to learn, and in a lot of cases, a lot of physical developing to do to be able to compete with men.
Yeah, they're basically children. Philip Hollander from Sweden, he's a winger, is legitimately one of the Penguins' best and actually most exciting prospects. There's a reason you've been writing as much as you have about him, and I think I'm starting to see why.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting when you have a European player who's playing in the top men's league in their country. He was playing, in the Swedish Hockey League. He was on Timrå's top line. And we really got to see a lot of him with Timrå last season just because they were an awful team and he was playing in every situation.
That seems to be a running theme with a lot of the prospects you cover.
There's quite a few like that. And so he will return to Sweden.
Yes.
So he's not the prospect closest to making the NHL, but I would say he probably has the highest upside.
Out of what they have. Yeah, I mean, aside from the recent draft class, keeping that in context, I think that your projections have been for a while now that Hollander was the best of the previous group. With all due respect, of course, to Jan Drosk, Hollander is a guy who has offensive tools, is effective on the forecheck, and when I was asking him a little bit ago at this camp what he needs to work on, he said unquestionably it's his play away from the puck. And the player that he cited as an example to him, come on, take a guess, that he wants to become like. Hint, Swede. Hint was in the Penguin system. Just won a Stanley Cup.
Oh, Sundqvist?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he brought him up and he goes, the funny thing was, he goes to me afterward, he goes, he's from Sweden too. I go, yeah, okay, kid. Yeah, I kind of knew here. I said, well, the difference was when Oscar showed up here, he was about this thin. Hollander he's not a big dude, to say the least.
No, he's definitely on the slender side.
But doesn't he have a higher offensive upside?
He definitely does, and I think next season will be interesting because he is going to be playing. He moved, so his old Swedish team got relegated. He's on a top Swedish team, so I think it'll be interesting to see how he handles what his production is like when he has a supporting cast.
All right, Taylor. Finnish hockey players, they're pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like they're doing big things internationally.
Big things internationally, and I think we're seeing that pay off here because there are a lot of Finns here.
There are a lot of Finns.
There are a lot of
I watched like 4 Finns at the same time looking up against the glass, and every one of them gave their stick a fresh tape job like immediately before taking the ice right here. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, so I mean, there's the 2 7th rounders, and they're going to be returning to Finland next year. Antti Palijärvi, the guy who saw taping his stick.
He taped it twice.
Yeah, he's going to be returning to Finland. He played in 3 different leagues last year: juniors, top Finnish league. He played in the 2nd tier league. The 2, I think, more exciting ones that are here right now are Larmi, the goaltender, who they just signed out of HPK, and Niklas Almari, the defenseman, who also played for HPK. Both of them are going to be in Wilkes-Barre next year, and I mean, they're guys that could, make a push depending on how they adjust, like to see some NHL time. If a goaltender needs to come up, or if they're hurting a defense. They do have like high-ish upsides, I would say.
During the first session here, Larmi was one of the 2 goalies playing, and they were playing 3-on-3. He did get torched a little bit, but I think that the team he was going against was a little bit stacked.
Yeah.
Diorio didn't really face a whole lot, the goaltender in the other net. But again, that's tight space, 3-on-3, small guys shooting a lot of pucks. But
I think
isn't it crazy how much these guys know each other? Like the Finns, it's not just a country thing. Like
3
these
of
guys
them
have
played for
played
HPK. They're Larmi and Almari they played for the same team, but they're actually like best friends. Like if you look at like their Twitters, like all they do is tweet at each other. And that'll be great for them when they adjust to Wilkes-Barre, because Almari was a black ace for Wilkes-Barre 2 seasons ago, and I asked him about his experience, and he said it wasn't that nice because he was alone with all the Swedes, because he was the only Finn. And the amount of Finns that are going to be there, he was kidding. But the Finns that are going to be there, it's him, those 2, and then you got Ulla Palve and Kasper Bjorkquist. They might as well build a sauna in that arena.